Welcome to this week's Illinois Wesleyan Titan Coaches Show. I'm Eric Stock of WJBC as we take a look inside Titan athletics. We're joined by the head football coach of the Titans, Norm Eash. Coach, good to have you here.
Good to see you, Eric. It's great to be back this week.
Coach is basking in the glow of one of the most impressive victories in the program's illustrious history, I think it's fair to say, beating Wisconsin-Whitewater here at Tucci Stadium 17-10. You've had a couple of days now to reflect on that magical day. Has it still sunk in and what your team accomplished?
Well, it was a great day for Illinois Wesleyan University and Titan football. It's got to be one of the top victories in the history of our program. There's been some good ones. I'm sure that Coach Larson would say the same thing, but for us to enter the game as an underdog, playing a number 3 ranked team in the country, Whitewater, it was just a great day for our team and our fans, and after the game it was kind of surreal. You know, did this happen? But it did, and our kids played hard, they played well. I was very proud of them, and we represented our university very well that day.
I'm sure some were probably thinking coming into the game, gosh, why take on this kind of a game in week 1? I'm sure no one told you that afterwards. They all knew that you were going to pull it out. But do you feel some vindication in taking on a team that many thought you probably wouldn't beat?
Well, you know that you're going to run into those teams in the playoffs, and you try to avoid those type of teams non-conference wise because our conference is so competitive with North Central and Wheaton being ranked. You can't afford to get that second loss because it takes you out of the playoff picture. But in this case, we had to find a game. And it just so happened that Coach Abalis called me and said he'd like to play us. I said, we'll play you, but we're not going to play at your place because I'm on the road with North Central and Wheaton. If you want to come down here, we'll play you. And he took a chance. I mean, he only has 4 home games. He's on the road for all his non-conference games. And I think we were very fortunate to be the first team to play him this year, because if you're going to beat Whitewater, you're going to probably beat them in the first game. And that's exactly what happened. You know, once our players found out that we were going to play Whitewater, they were on a mission. They were very excited about it. And the preparation was great by our coaching staff. Our players knew what they had to do to beat them. It was a very classy, very sportsmanlike game. I was very impressed. Our kids were helping their kids up, and their kids were helping our players up. There was no trash talking. It was just fun to watch. It was a great Division III football game, and so anyone that was at the game, and you know, I turned around during the game, and our stands started filling up as the game went on. So I think people started hearing about how the game was going, and a lot of people came and watched. And after the game, to see our fans and our players sing the fight song, and just you know, everyone on the field, you can't ask for a better situation than that.
You could certainly feel the tension in the air as the game wound down, and
yeah.
Everyone's thinking, can they pull this off? The defense made a number of big plays, some of them early in the game, holding them to a field goal in one case when they got to the 1, them not scoring at all on a bad snap before halftime. It seemed as if that really lifted this team to believe that this is possible.
Well, there's a lot of key plays in the ball game, of course, Eric. I remember early in the game, we had a run play where our receiver, Jack Healy, came back and blocked their best linebacker and knocked him to the ground. I mean, we call them decleaters. I mean, it was a clean hit, but it got our kids going a little bit. I mean, it was right in front of our sidelines, and it was almost like our kids were saying, we can play with these guys. You know, we're just as good. And so I think that kind of got us started. But I think the key to the game, most coaches will tell you that you need to establish the run. And Whitewater likes to run the football. And our defense did a great job. Coach McDonald had them ready. And to limit Whitewater to 42 yards rushing for the whole game is pretty amazing. And so that forced them to throw the ball. And once you do that, then you can bring some pressures. And, you know, we kind of dictated, you know, the way that the game was going from the defensive standpoint. So that was nice to see. The other thing I think was key is our kids responded to every situation. We had 2 really long drives, one 14-play drive, one 12-play drive to score when we had to respond. And that's the makings of a good football team. And then the last thing, and I mean, we talked about this going into the game, we told our kids we couldn't have a breaking point, and we didn't. The breaking point is when something happens in a game and you kind of lose your confidence and your swagger, and that never occurred. Actually, I think probably Whitewater had a breaking point on Saturday, and our players had a lot to do with that.
The obvious question coming into this week's home game against Nebraska Wesleyan is, are you concerned about letdown? Keeping in mind you have 1 week to prepare for this, not 8 months, and you're looking at conference play starting next week.
Well, first of all, we have very intelligent kids here, and I can't go to our kids, our players, and say Nebraska Wesleyan is just as good as University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. I can't do that. I mean, they see through that. So we're approaching this game from the standpoint is our biggest obstacle is ourselves, and we need to set a standard for this week, and we needed to have some type of expectation of how we're going to play, both offensively and defensively. And if we do that, I think we'll be all right. I mean, I can give you all kinds of coaching cliches. You know, you're only as good as your next game. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. But they're always, from game 1 to game 2, that's where you have your most improvement in the season. And so I'm looking forward to that. I think we need to come out and we need to establish ourselves right away against Nebraska Wesleyan. I feel like we need to play like a team that's ranked 14th in the country and control the game. I think we need to do that, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing our players do that.
All right, we look forward to that. Good luck this weekend, Coach. Illinois Wesleyan football coach Norm Eash on our Titan Coaches Show.